friendships, right? When life is hard, when life is sucking life out of you, like, you need a friend. When something beautiful and wonderful happens in your life and you want to send a picture of it, or you want to talk about it or tell the story, like, you need a friend. You need a friend to celebrate, right? When it's a moment, when you're getting married and you want to celebrate that with friends. When your marriage is unraveling or could end and it's just ripping your heart apart, you need a friend in those moments, right? When the family you were born with is being the family you were born with and you're just like, ugh, sometimes you need the family you get to choose, right? We need those friendships, and whether it's in good times or hard times or whatever it is, we need friends. And this isn't new, is it? Captures this idea. So if you want, turn to your Bibles to Ecclesiastes chapter 4, starting in verse 9. And if you don't have your Bibles, we'll put it on the screen here. It says this, starting in verse 9. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. And it's just this idea that in life, we need friends. We need friends in moments where we get a little overwhelmed. We need friends that can do things that we can't do. We need friends in moments to celebrate too, right? There's just, because to celebrate, to have those moments, even those good moments in isolation by yourself, we just weren't wired for that. There's some way that God wired us that in a deeper way or in a different way. If you have your Bibles, turn to Proverbs chapter 18. Turn to 18, because it points to this problem where maybe we can get into a different kind of dynamic than ultimately what we're after. And it says this, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24. It says, a man of many companions may come to ruin. Isn't that interesting? Like, you'd think, well, lots of companions, that'd be fantastic. But the point is, it's not how many friends you have, right? He has friends. It's just he's in a kind of dynamic that doesn't take at least some of those friendships to a deeper level. And he goes on and says in the rest of verse 24, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother, right? There's like a friendship that becomes a different level of friend. Now, side note here, just real quickly, the point is not that it's bad to have lots of friends, or bad to have friends that aren't at that deep level. It's not talking about whether being an introvert or extrovert is better or worse. It's not that. Here's the point. Here's the point that I want you to take away from this. It doesn't matter how many friends you have if you don't have the friend you need. That's the point. And so my question here this morning is, do you have the friend or friends that you need just in life as you go through life? Proverbs goes on, says a couple chapters later, in fact, flip over to Proverbs chapter 20. Look at verse 5. Look at what it says here. It says, the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, right? There's this depth to people, to relationships. But one who has insight draws them out. And the point is, as there are different levels to who we are as human beings, it means there's different levels to the kinds of friendships that we'll have. So like, think of level 1. And this is a friendship where it's fun, it's enjoyable. Maybe you share an interest with that person, something that you have in common. And maybe that interest is something that you do at work. Maybe it's a task or a skill or, part of the job. And you've kind of become friends with a coworker because there's something that you share in doing, or maybe it's a hobby that you have. And that is your main connection with that person. And that is a good thing. And you know what? Sometimes you may not even know that person's last name. Like maybe it's someone in your neighborhood and you've seen them for years and you've kind of become a level one kind of friend. You might even, go on walks with each other. Ask them how their day is going. And it's a good thing. Like you enjoy the conversation with them. And that's kind of a level one. Nothing at all wrong with that. In fact, my question would be, do you have the friends that you need at a level one? Do you have friends at that level? Because we all need that. But I want you to think about a level deeper than that. I want you to think about like maybe what we'd call a level 2. And you probably have interests. You probably have things in common with this person. But there's something that goes a little bit deeper in this. You begin to understand something about that person. You begin to understand kind of who they are at a personality level, how God wired them in some way. You know more about how they navigate life a little bit. And there's something that like you share with them, right? There may be a group, they're your football friends and you watch football with them, or there's activities and this group, you go just a little bit deeper and you know about them, right? You've got, your goofy friend and your funny friend and your, the wild friend and, the sympathetic, because you're understanding them a little bit at a deeper level. And there's something that we get out of that, isn't there? And so my question for you on that is, do you have level 2 people in your life? Do you have level 2 friends in your life? Because you need those. But one more level, level 3. And when you think about level 3 people, there's something you understand about how they're wired and who they are. But there's something that you know at a little bit deeper level. You begin to know those things about, and here's how I put this. You begin to know those things about them that you would only know because they've revealed it to you. They have chosen to say, I'm gonna open up the curtains into my heart or my mind, and I'm gonna share some things with you that you couldn't know just by watching me, right? A level 2 friend understands those things. But this is where there's like a little bit of vulnerability. There's some inviting into your life in some different ways. And through that process, one of the things that happens, whether it's spoken or unspoken, is you develop a kind of commitment to one another about just, care about that person. You start to value that person and you become vested in them at a level you never experienced with a level 1 or a level 2 in there. Now, whether you have level 3 friends in your life or not, we all need this. And this is what I want to talk about this morning. This is what I want to help us all with. You don't need to develop all of your friendships into a level 3 kind of friendship. Don't make the goal, okay, here are all my friends. What can I do to turn them all into level 3? That, in a weird way, that would be kind of a strange, disastrous thing as well. That would be way too much vulnerability and way too much investment in way too big of a group, right? So don't feel like the goal for every friendship is how do I get it to a level 3. Let those friendships be whatever level they need to be, but maybe there are some dynamics that we can change, right? Change the dynamic and you change the whole dance so that you have the level 3 friend or friends that you really need. I think that's the thing that I want to speak to this morning that I see coming out of Proverbs and what Ecclesiastes was talking about. So this morning, I want to talk about just two ways to help develop those level 3 kind of friendships. And here's the first point. First one is this: move beyond the box. Move beyond the box. Remember, Proverbs 20 said, the purposes of a person's heart is like deep waters, right? There is this deeper side to every single human being, right? And it talks about how you got to draw that out. To get to that deeper side of who somebody is, it's going to take some work. But here's the thing. Oftentimes, it is so normal to have those friendships where we begin to kind of figure out who they are, but we can leave it at those more shallow levels, and it's like kind of putting them in a box. It's kind of like that label, right? And we all have this, and there's nothing wrong with this at some level, right? Like, how many of you, when I say, like, who's your competitive friend? You're like, oh, I know who that is, right? And that name pops into your mind because you know who that competitive friend is. And maybe you're sitting here going, my name's popping into a whole lot of people's head right now, right? Because you're that person, right? Or, you're the funny one, right? You're the one that always brings in the humor and the lighthearted side of it, or who's the dreamer, who's the adventurous one, right? Like, I know that's just like, that's me. Like, there's a lot of people that just like, yeah, when I want to have an adventure, I'm going to call Glenn, and we'll let him go first, and if he doesn't die, then we know it's safe to keep on going, right? He'll try it first. He's willing to do that sort of thing, right? I get it. There's a part of me that, like, I'm wired that way. That's who I am, right? There's the melancholy friend. There's, like, the really sensitive friend, the encouraged. Like, we have all of these different things. And it's not that those are bad, okay? Because they're not. But when I say move beyond the box, it's this. If our lens for how we see them and interact with them stay there, with that label, with that box, they'll never become, right, the level 3 kind of friend. And here's the second point. Don't fix your friends, right? Hey, if you want that relationship to go deeper, don't fix your friends, right? Let me ask you, how many of you love it when a friend, let's say, takes you out to lunch, and as you sit down, they're like, I'm so glad you're here. Now, let me begin telling you the things that are wrong in your life, and I know how to fix them, right? How many of you love it when a friend just engages in trying to change you, right? Probably not, right? You're just like, when is this lunch going to be over, right? No one likes it when we become the object of someone else, right? Where they become the fixer in our life, or they become the prescriber in our life. So here's the thing. Give that up in trying to do that with someone else. And I know it can be hard at times, right? Because you're just like, but it's just right there. If only they would ... right? But here's the deal, right? If that's not invited or asked for, right? No one wants the friend that they become the fixer in your life in all of this. There's another proverb that I love. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. Flip back a few chapters to 17. Look at this. It says this in verse 17. It says, a friend loves at all times. Right? At all times. And here's the beauty of that, right? They love you where you are. And oftentimes when we step into, I'm going to be your fixer, that rarely feels like love, right? When that becomes your role, we don't experience that as love. It says, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity, right? Instead of fixing you in times of adversity, they're with you. And a true friend, a level 3 friend, isn't trying to be your fixer. They're trying to come alongside you, right? How many of you, and don't raise your hands on this, but like, do you find yourself in a relationship where either it's like, okay, I really like this person, but they're always trying to fix me? Or, right, if you want to take one step a little bit more vulnerable, maybe you realize, oh, I have a friendship where I just, for some reason, I keep trying to step into their life and make them better, fix them. And if you find yourself in that place, let me offer a couple of things to maybe change that dynamic. Because that dynamic will hold you back from having that deeper kind of friendship, right? So the first one, and this really is a gift. This really is a gift. Tell them how you want to relate differently. So if you find yourself always trying, like sliding into that fixer position in their life, here's what I'd say is, give them the gift of literally saying to them, hey, I notice too often I start trying to coach you and tell you the things that are wrong with you and how you need to change. And I love you, and I see that I step into this, and I don't want to relate to you in that way. You tell them that, I promise you, if they have felt that, oh my gosh, that's going to land as a gift. If you really want to be bold, invite them. Say, and you know what? If I step into that accidentally or I don't realize it, I want you to know it's okay for you to just say, hey, you're doing that fixer thing right now. And I'll know that's my cue. I'll back off so that I can come alongside you in this moment. Now, if it's the reverse, maybe you've got that person and you love them, but they're trying to be the fixer in your life. Here's a gift that you get to give yourself that will change the dynamic, your dynamic, in a way that maybe changes the whole relationship. Tell them what you want out of the relationship. Tell them what you desire. It's okay for you to say, hey, I know you mean well, but what I desire is not to have you telling me like the things that I need to fix in my life. In fact, I'll make you this promise. If I need or want that from you, I promise to ask for that. But otherwise, I just need you to come alongside me and not fix me. That's a gift to you. And the truth is, it's probably a gift to them. And it will change the dynamic. It changes it into a kind of relationship where you can actually build one another up more and more. So, right, get out of the box. And don't try and fix your friends. Instead, come alongside them. Let me read you one last verse. This is actually found in the New Testament out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11. When Paul is giving this encouragement to the church, he says, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. That's what we need out of friendship. And you can develop some of those friendships into a deeper kind of level 3 relationship because we all need that. Now, before I close, let me just say this. If you're a